Here.
Mr. Bjork.
Here.
Mrs. Delvecchia.
Here.
Mrs. McNamara.
Here.
Mr. Orovitz.
Here.
Mr. Schatz.
Here.
Mr. Shalera.
Here. Everyone kindly stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for prayer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We thank you for everyone gathered here now. Thank you that you know each of us by name and have caused us to walk with you. We say that we are dependent on you and our trust is in you completely. As we surrender ourselves in your adoration, we ask that you would come by your Holy Spirit and inspire our hearts today. Come fill our lives with your love, fill our conversations with your grace and truth, fill this meeting with your presence. We ask this for your glory and praise. Amen.
Amen.
Good evening, everyone. And the report of committees, first one, the mayor's report, a couple of items. First of all, I'd like to thank the residents who came out to the concert we had the other night. It was last Monday. It was also the first night of the carnival. And we had about 250 people come to our concert, which was really nice. We have another one coming up at the end of this month.
September 18th.
We have September 18th, Don't Call Me Francis, which was here last time. They'll be back. And also the carnival did very well. And on behalf of the Lions Club, I'd like to thank everyone for supporting the Lions Club, an organization that does so much good for the community, and they're deserving of all of us to be out there to support them. Also tonight, we are having a life-saving award. And I'd like to read a little something before we present the young gentleman with this award. One of the honors you have as mayor is to recognize residents who go above and beyond in helping other residents in the community. It has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with doing the right thing, honoring a person for a job well done. Therefore tonight, I would like once again to honor a resident for his heroic actions at the Waldwick pool while working as a lifeguard. On Monday, July 1st, 2019, at 2:25 p.m., Nick Raffaelli, while sitting in the medium-depth lifeguard chair at the Waldwick pool, noticed two swimmers in the 4.5 feet of water by the ropes in distress. A 6-year-old girl was in the water above her head and had grabbed onto an 8-year-old girl by the neck. Both girls were struggling to stay above the water. Nick, seeing this, immediately activated the Waldwick Pool's emergency action plan by blowing his whistle 3 times. Nick jumped from his chair into the water and proceeded to rescue both girls. The other lifeguard saw what was going on, without any hesitation jumped into the water also and assisted Nick. Nick's quick action and his training as a Waldwick lifeguard saved 2 girls' lives. The Borough of Waldwick, and especially myself, is very proud of you, Nick, for your quick thinking and actions in saving 2 of our residents from a serious fate. We are honored to have you as one of our lifeguards, protecting and serving our residents. You are a very dedicated and hardworking young man. You should be very proud of yourself, as your parents, family, and all of us are of you today and always. A lifeguard is like a light guiding others to safety. I want to thank you, Nick, for keeping our residents safe as you deal with them as a Waldwick lifeguard. And at this time, I would like to present you with a certificate of recognition, which states, certificate of recognition is presented to Nick Raphael for saving 2 girls from drowning at the Waldwick pool this 13th day of August 2019. Nick, we thank you so much. Much, and we hope that you continue to work at the Waldwick pool and either other stuff in the town, because we need young guys like you, young ladies like they're out there also as lifeguards, doing the best thing they could for our town. Thank you so much. You don't want to say a few words?
I'd like to thank Mr. James over there for the training and preparation to save and all of the pool and the lifeguards there too.
Nick's family is no stranger to Waldwick. Their family has a long history of being residents of the borough. Mom and Dad are very active in the school with all programs and sports, and now Nick is carrying on their tradition. So I'd like to thank the Raphael family for what you do for the borough of Waldwick also. Before we continue, if anybody wants to leave, I know it's a nice night out.
See you, Tom.
And also, if you notice, we have the room set up a little bit differently. We thought it was going to be a little bit easier.
Before you folks leave, I just want to say one thing. I've been to the Waldwick pool on a number of occasions this summer, and I just want to let you know that the pool is run in the most efficient order I've seen. The lifeguards are very responsible. They change shifts almost militarily at times. The one lifeguard that's coming on duty will not leave the station until the lifeguard who is leaving duty gets down. They get up on the station, they take their position, and it's all very orderly, and I feel so confident in the pool because of the way it's run. I just wanted to let you folks know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What we're doing is we're trying a new way of having our meeting. From now on, there'll be a podium that you can address the mayor and council. So instead of sitting and worrying about the microphone is there, you stand, you address us, and then you can go right back to your seat. Financial Administrative Committee, Mr. Schlero.
So, thank you, Mayor. I have to give an audit report after giving an award for someone saving a life. I'm really sorry about that. One of the annual processes we go through is the year-end audit. It came a little later this year because the state has some new requirements, and the audit company, which for us is Lurch Vinci Higgins, had to go through a certain process of getting certain information and procedures approved by the state before they could come and conduct the audit. So they actually started the process a little later. They're usually here in March or April. They didn't start until late June. It's a very tedious process that takes several weeks. They actually have one person, sometimes two, here in our building pretty much full time for several weeks at a time. They look at just about every transaction from the previous year into the current year to prepare their report. So their work concluded last week, and this week we had a what they refer to as an exit conference, where they kind of highlight what they did and talk about some of the things that they identified through the audit process. And it's kind of our last chance to answer some questions and submit some information that they had been looking for to wrap up their process. So now that that has taken place, they'll produce the final audit for the year, and it'll be available sometime in the next week. They were pretty confident. So at the very least, it'll be available by our next meeting. So what happens after that are a couple of things. We and the public all get a chance to review the year-end audit. The mayor and council will have to pass a resolution affirming that everyone individually reviewed at least the management comments and recommendations. And then our CFO, if there's any corrective action required, will need to present a plan and a proposal to the mayor and council for the corrective action. So we'll get into more details when we have a chance to look at the entire process. It really is an important process, and we recognize the importance of the process. It really is also a big time commitment on our staff in addition to their regular jobs, because if any of the auditors need anything in terms of a report, a file, or anything else, we try to be very responsive to keep the process moving along for their benefit and ours. And as I said, they're in our building. So it's really important to get through that process. I'd say overall, from what I heard in our exit conference, things went real well. And the audit includes not only the borough operations, but the water department as well, that will have a chance to look through that. And anyone has a chance to ask questions at that time. So look forward to getting the final audit out and reviewing and reporting on that by our next meeting. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Fire and Police Protection Committee, Mr. Ovitz.
Thank you, Mayor. Short report tonight. Our members continue to drill through the summer into the fall. And our Pierce Pumper pre-construction is complete and is tentatively scheduled to start being built in December. I also have something about styrofoam. I know a lot of the residents find it difficult to dispose of styrofoam from, to recycle. Nobody recycles it. So our waste disposal guys tell us to put it in the garbage. But the Borough of Glen Rock is holding a styrofoam drive on Saturday, September 21st from 10 to 1 p.m. For packing only, no peanuts, cups, or food containers. And the rain date is September 22nd, and it's at their recycling center, 350 Doreen's Head in Glen Rock. So if you have big chunks of styrofoam that you want to get rid of, and you don't want to just, put them out to the garbage, this is a good way to do it. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Public Safety Committee, Mrs. McNamara.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the Lions Club again for the carnival. We went on 2 wristband nights instead of Fortune, but the kids had a ton of fun. So just wanted to say thank you to the Lions Club. The blood drive I held again this year was a success. We met their goals of what they wanted. We were able to save up to 36 lives with all of the people that came through for donations, so that was very much appreciated. And fall sports are picking up again. I think some sports have started already, so a lot more traffic in the roads in the evening time. Just wanted to ask everybody to beware when they're driving through the streets, slow down. Everything's picking up again all over town, so just be mindful of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Recreation and Health Committee, Ms. Vecchia.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a few things. Regarding the AFA committee, I mistakenly thought that we were going to be voting on the roster that was put together for the committee members tonight, but it turns out that we're going to have a September meeting, and we're going to come up with the terms. There are different lengths of terms for the committee members, so there's always a rolling sort of a system. And we'll be doing those suggested terms at our September meeting, and then Mayor and Council will vote on the roster and the terms in October. So sorry about misinformation that I put out there on that previously. For the stigma-free group, we have a few things in the works, but I can report on tonight that we're going to be joining a walk event called Out of Darkness in Saddlebrook on Sunday, October 20th. And registration is free. It takes place from 9 to 12 on that Sunday. And if you'd like more information on that, you can go to the Waldwick Stigma Free Zone on Facebook and look for more info. Lastly, on Stigma Free, we're working on a fundraiser. We're going to sell t-shirts again like we did before, and then also really cool hoodies in different sizes, women's, men's, and kids, that are going to have the Stigma Free logo kind of smallish on the front, and then on the back, this is so cool, we will say light in the woods, which, as you may or may not know, is what Waldwick means, and it also ties in nicely with the whole stigma-free concept of, opening our eyes to things. So I think that's going to be great, and that should be up in the next couple of weeks. I'll tell you guys more on how to order if you're interested once that's up. And basically, that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Mr. Bjork.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been away for a while. I really don't have too much to report on other than thanking people on behalf of the Lions Club instead of thanking the Lions Club. What we do at that carnival takes a lot of different entities from town, namely, obviously, the DPW, the CERT organization, the police department, which seems to really be working out well now. We're able to staff each night with local police, which brings down our expenses. The ambulance corps people are down there. We didn't have any significant injuries, a couple bumps and bruises. I think one kid did knock out a tooth or something, but all in all, everybody's pretty well after the carnival. Thank Nicole for spending so much money helping the blind. So Al Colvin came down. I thought he might be here tonight, but he volunteered his time. And the Forum School helps us out, the Board of Ed helps us out, and it was really nice to have the area paved finally down there, the Forum School Drive and their whole Board of Ed area, because it's been like a, you know, a landmine went off down there for the last 10 years. It really improved things having that paved. While I was away, I know we had a pretty significant heat wave, a lot of temperatures up in the hundreds. I assume we sold a lot of water for watering lawns while we were away, and hopefully that brings in some revenue. And as far as what you were mentioning, Joe, there's on that app that you can get for your phone or your whatever, your computer, you'll notice that the Bergen County has a lot of specialty recycling programs in individual communities in Bergen County. So you can look it up if, you know, there's something you're trying to get rid of. So that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Then the grounds committee, Mr. Chat.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too have been, I was gone for last week, and I missed the planning board meeting, the formal session, but I made the work session. We had 3 resolutions done and approved, and then 1 application. Otherwise, I don't have anything else.
Thank you very much. And 10 resolutions and resolutions of the governing body.
Be resolved that the following resolutions herewith listed by consent, having been considered by the governing body of the Borough of Waldwick, are hereby passed and approved. 2019-226, approval of consent. 2019-227, approval of minutes, regular meeting and closed session meeting, July 9, 2019, and the regular meeting for July 23, 2019. Policy votes. 1, Mike Mazzio and the Waldwick Music Parents Association request the use of Pavilion B on August 16th from 6 to 8:30 for a band picnic. 2, Lauren Najatowski requests the use of Pavilion A on August 25th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. for a birthday party with alcoholic beverages being served. Number 3, Patrick Crane requests the use of Pavilion A on October 5th from 11 a.m. to dusk for Midland Park's 40 class reunion with alcoholic beverages being served. Number 4, Sarah Kuchelek requests the use of Pavilion A on October 6th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for a children's birthday party. Number 5, Tanya Hardig, Troop 95562, requests the use of the ambulance corps building on August 28th from 4 to 6 p.m. for a Girl Scout meeting. Number 6, Karen Asta, Troop 97895, requests the use of the ambulance corps building on September 25th, October 9th, November 13th, December 11th, and January 8th, 2020, from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. for a Girl Scout meeting. Number 7, Pamela Singer from the Girl Scouts of Northern New Jersey requests the use of the ambulance corps building on October 11th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. for Girl Scout recruitment. Number 8, appointment of Jesse Levine as a member of the Waldwick Senior Fire Department. Number 9, accept the resignation of Senior Communications Officer Kevin Guy, effective August 11, 2019. And number 10, Michael Quinn is requesting permission to build a fence across the width of 50 Smithfield Road, which falls into an easement in line with both of his neighbors' rear fences. 2019-228, payment of vouchers. 2019-229, cancellation and refund of taxes for Block 30, Lot 10. 2019-230, award contract to Generation 3 Incorporated for HVAC upgrades at the Public Safety Complex in the amount of $19,200. 2019-231, approval of a social affair permit for the Waldwick Community Alliance Food Truck Festival, September 22nd, with a rain date of September 29th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the train station. 2019-232, approval of raffle license number 2019-04 for the Waldwick Graduation Ball Association for their calendar raffle. 2019-233, authorized waiver of permit fee to the Waldwick Lions Club for installation of the lighting at the Oval. 2019-234, approval of contract for Premier Entertainment for MC and DJ services for the Centennial Gala in the amount of $767. And 2019-237, appointment of headstone coach Holden Satui.
Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Mr. Vecchia, second by Mr. York on the question. Just a couple of items I'd like to talk about and then we'll pass on to everyone else. First of all, the resignation of Kevin Guy. Kevin Guy was our dispatcher for a short period of time, but he's going on to better things in the police service, so we wish him well. Also, the waiver of the permit fees for Lions Club, as I told you once before. Different organizations in our community are coming forward to do stuff for our 100th anniversary, give a gift in their honor to our town. The Lions Club has plans. We met with Rick Vanderwen, who's in charge of that, with our administrator and myself to look at the plans that they have for the Oval, to put lighting, but there'll be lights set up in the Oval so that people can see a little bit better when the events are over or when the events are on. And then also the contract with Premier Entertainment, that is the DJ that we'll be using for the 100th anniversary gala at the Tides. Anyone else? Yes?
I'm going to recuse myself from the July 23rd meeting as I did not attend that, and I will recuse myself from the waiver of the permit fees since I'm a member of the club. One point on that, we did order the light poles and lights today.
Great, thank you.
Please approve it.
Anyone else? Yes?
I wanted to also recuse myself from 227 as I was not here for those meetings either. Also, the appointment of the swim coach, Holden, I just wanted to comment on how wonderful he was. He is a rather young fellow and is the head coach for, I think it's about 75 children who are on the swim team, as young as 5, as old as 17 or 18, and it's amazing, like, how well they respond to him and pay attention and behave for like really little people. It's to his credit that he really keeps them in line and so effortlessly and competes himself, and he's pretty marvelous. And also on 229, I worked with our congressman a little bit at length trying to get this taken care of for our residents, so it's quite nice to see this coming to fruition for him. That's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else? Board, kindly take the roll.
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Mrs. Delvecchio?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mr. Orbitz?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Okay, under advertised business, will the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2019-18 by title?
Ordinance number 2019-18, an ordinance repealing Chapter 52 entitled Floodplains in its entirety, and replacing Chapter 52 with a new chapter entitled Flood Damage Prevention to conform with the recent Federal Emergency Management Agency's updated flood insurance rate maps to continue participation in the National Flood Insurance Program.
Anyone on the council would like to comment on this ordinance or just read?
So what this ordinance does is FEMA had revised the flood mapping over the course of the last couple of years, and in order to allow your residents to participate and continue in the flood insurance program, you have to update your ordinance to reflect the new mapping. So this ordinance adopts the new maps and adopts the new regulations to stay in the program.
Anyone else? I close the council's comments and open up to the public. Anybody from the public would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read? If no one, I close the public's comments and ask for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading, and that the clerk be authorized to advertise on local legal newspapers as required by law. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Ms. McNamara, second by Mr. Schatz. Clerk, kindly take the roll.
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Mrs. Delvecchio?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mr. Orbitz?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Will the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2019-19 right now?
Sure, ordinance number 2019-19, an ordinance amending Chapter 87 entitled Swimming Pool Municipal to revise Section 87-4 Rules and Regulations of the Municipal Pool, items D, J, K, M, and N.
Anyone from the council like to comment on this ordinance that was just read? What this is that we're doing is we're taking the ordinance that we have and we're just changing it around a little bit or tightening it a little bit. We're adding some wording in there. It's an ordinance that is telling the public what they're allowed to do and not do, not to bring in certain devices into the pool. You can't bring your dogs into the pool, but if there's a service dog, you can bring the service dog in. So we're just tweaking the ordinance a little bit.
I think also like what, no snorkels and masks and stuff like that.
Anything like that, that'd be a danger to anyone. Anyone else have a comment? I close the council's comments, open up to the public. Anybody from the public would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read? Since there's none, I ask for a motion and a second to pass the ordinance on second reading, and that the clerk be authorized to advertise it on local legal newspapers as required by law. A motion and a second. Motion by Greg, second by Joe. Clerk, can I take the roll?
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Mrs. Delvecchio?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mr. Orbitz?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Introduction of ordinances. We have 3 of them tonight. Will the clerk read first ordinance number 2019-20?
Ordinance number 2019-20, an ordinance to amend Chapter 97-123.12 of the Code of the Borough of Waldwick entitled Wireless Telecommunication Towers and Antennas to provide for administrative review of replacing and upgrading improvements and setting an application fee for the same.
A motion and a second is in order to move and pass this ordinance on first reading, and that it be advertised in local legal newspapers as required by law, setting a hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be reached. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Don, second by Paul. On the question.
You know, and I'll let our attorney get into it, but you know, for those who don't know, within the borough and on borough property, we have cell phone towers. And on each tower, we have cell phone providers that lease space. And I think one of the things that happens over time is they come to do maintenance, upgrades, and other repairs on their equipment. And sometimes they notify us that they're doing it, and sometimes they're not. So I think we're tightening up the language and charging a fee so we have the proper inspections and that everything is done appropriately. And you know, I think they've been a little lax over the years of communicating with us. They all pay their bills, so we're happy with that part of it. But we just want to tighten that up.
And on top of that, the towers are obviously getting a little older, so what we want to do is anytime a improvement is done to that tower, a proper structural analysis is done and reviewed by a company who has this expertise to make sure that what is being done isn't going to affect the structural integrity of the tower. And this amends the fee to allow for that review.
Anyone else? Clerk, can I take a roll?
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Mrs. Delaveck?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mr. Orbitz?
Yes.
Mr. Shaft?
Yes.
Mr. Shalera?
Yes.
Would the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2019-21?
Sure. Ordinance number 2019-21, an ordinance amending Chapter 97 to permit breweries, wineries, and distilleries as permitted uses in the C1, C2, VC2, VC3, and I zones.
Motion and second is in order to move and pass this ordinance on first reading, and that the clerk be authorized to advertise in local legal newspapers as required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be reached. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Ms. McNamara, second by Ms. Delvecchio. Anyone on the question?
I just have,
Go ahead.
you want to explain it? I just had a couple questions. I read that.
Yeah, we're gonna have-
Like Craig explained.
Yeah,
We're gonna have
so-
the attorney and the administrator explaining because they met with
Yeah, and then
So-
I'll ask my questions. Maybe you answer them already.
Yeah, so what happened is, you know, we hear about breweries, you know, microbreweries, things opening up in other towns around here, and Pat and I were looking at our zoning ordinance, and we realized we didn't allow them in any of the zones around town. So we thought it'd be a good thing to try and maybe potentially bring businesses in or open this up. So we looked at the areas, and what these zones are is basically the Franklin Turnpike corridor, the train station area, over by the market, the shopping center, in that commercial zone, as well as the industrial zone over by Hopper Avenue. So, you know, we thought those would be the appropriate places to allow this as a permitted use if any businesses wanted to open up something like that to come into town.
Okay, I answered one of my questions, which was who brought this, if I didn't know it was an application that was upcoming. The second question was, you know, I've done this stuff up like around the Finger Lakes for wine tasting and stuff like that. Now, do we need any type of a liquor license? And if after they do the tasting, are they going to be able to sell like a case of wine or bottles of beer? How does that work?
Well, everything in regards to all three, the brewery, the wineries, and distilleries, they're all governed by not only the state licenses, but there's federal licenses that they'd have to get. So you're not doing anything outside of those,
Right, but
exempting those licenses.
I'm a little ignorant to this, but I know we have a set amount of liquor licenses in Waldwick. So
They're different
These are
than
different.
liquor licenses. Yeah, they're what's called like a limited,
as long as it's different. that's
yeah,
all.
it's a limited brewery license, which allows them to manufacture on site and then have a tasting room, and you can purchase up to a certain amount to take out.
Okay.
Anyone else? Clerk, can I take a roll?
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Mrs. Delaveck?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mr. Orbitz?
Yes.
Mr. Shaft?
Yes.
Mr. Shalera?
Yes.
Will the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2019-22 by title?
Sure, ordinance number 2019-22, an ordinance establishing Chapter 80 entitled Solid Waste Disposal and amending Chapter 71 entitled Recycling to include electronics.
Motion is second is in order to move this ordinance on first reading and that it be advertised in all legal newspapers as required by law, setting a hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 p.m. or thereafter, the matter may be reached. Do I have a motion in a second? Motion by Mr. Pajol, second by Mr. Shalero. On the question.
Yeah, first of all, just to be real clear, these that are being introduced, there will be an opportunity for the public to comment when there is a public hearing on each of them, and they'll all be publicized, and there'll be an opportunity for you to ask questions as well. What this one in particular pertains to is, we have a very generous and very liberal program in terms of our collection of solid waste, recycling material, and other things we pick up at the curb. One of the things that's been pointed out to us over the past year or so is that there are people taking advantage of those very liberal programs. And what we've seen is people who are vacating a home, selling a home, or whatever, are putting out immense quantities of solid waste. So much so that the haulers can't take it away in one day. So Patrick's done some research and looked into some of the circumstances relating to this and has put together a proposal for us to consider on creating some limitations. Now, what we want to do is make sure that people who aren't taking advantage of the policy can still have their waste removed. You clean out your garage, you clean out a shed or whatever, and I'm pretty confident based on the description that has been put together that you'll still be able to do those things. What you will not be able to do is empty out a house and put it on your curb. I guess if I thought about it, there have probably been 1 or 2 occasions where I've observed that, but it's becoming more and more common. So we kind of feel like we at least need to have the discussion. We'll introduce the ordinance. We'll have a public discussion about it. We'll continue to educate residents about the downside of taking advantage of programs that were put in place to serve the community. But we kind of feel like it's at the point where we have to talk about doing something.
Patrick and Kelly went around the community the last couple of weeks, and they have pictures and everything of homes that, either the people are moving out or moving in, and you just took for granted that they could just put everything on their front lawn. And the residents that are surrounding the areas are very upset about this because garbage not being picked up as fast as they want, and they're looking out their window and they're seeing a lot of people's furniture on their front lawns or on the curb, and that's not what we do here. So I think Patrick will explain to you an idea he has. We should think about it, and then what we'll do is we'll discuss it, and the public also will have an opportunity to voice their opinion at our next time we meet to discuss it.
I can confirm that on my street, I just recently had a house sale, and they had furniture, everything, furniture, clothes, everything covering from one end of this property to the other end of the property, and it went from curb to the front lawn. They were stacked up, it was stacked up at least 5 feet, so that's ridiculous.
I can say to her credit, though, she did call for bulk pickup at least 2 to 3 times, and Gata never came. And when she called the clerk's office to say that she was moving and if that was the proper procedure, she was told yes, and then Gata came and never picked anything up. And she said, so it just continued to pile, and she was home when Gata came by, and they still never picked up. So I don't know if that is a conversation to have with Gata. I even came here a couple times to see why they weren't picking it up, and it took a couple phone calls because they are pretty difficult to get a hold of and not responsive if they're on the field, so you have to wait for them to come back, as I was told.
Was she paying for Gator to come down and do the bulk pickup? Or, I would have thought that was enough to fill up the dumpster.
Well, she had called 2 weeks prior to what ended up what was there, when there wasn't that much. And she was told, yes, the bulk pickup request is appropriate. And they never came, or they never picked it up when they came by, so she called again, and I called, and I came in, and I came in again. So.
I can speak to this specific instance. Two things to note. One, right now it is permitted for property owners to put as much out to the curb as they want. So there's nothing wrong with a property owner doing so. They're well within the limits of our trash hauling contract. The issue becomes more of a logistical one, and you can't fit so much stuff in a truck. And so what happened in this instance, the property owner had put a lot of things out on the curb. We spoke to the hauler. They said they picked up as much as they could in that one day on that route until, they have to leave enough room to continue to pick up trash through town. They try to eat away at it every time they pick up, which is just twice a week on a big pile. It took them, what they said is it took them 3 weeks. I saw the size of that pile, it's believable.
Well, yeah, it just
it's
kept
a lot of-
accumulating.
Yeah, it just kept accumulating, and you know how it is when you clean out a house, you put as much as you can out to the curb, and then you're finding things as you go through the next week or so, and you continue to put it out there. They continue to take it. It's just on piles that big, it's hard to eat up. We wrote this ordinance, like Councilman Schalero had said, we wrote this ordinance very liberal. And so in a week, a residence is permitted to put out 400 gallons or pounds of trash and 4 bulk items. So I think that 400 pounds, gallons, whichever is greater, and 4 bulk items in a week will be more than enough for the average homeowner. For things that are larger, like cleanouts, it will be the responsibility of that homeowner to contact a private hauler and arrange for that hauler to have, roll-off dumpster drop off or a special pickup arranged.
Patrick, I would say, I think this ordinance attempts to address this issue in the spirit. I think it's a good idea. When I read through it, one thing that jumped off me was the violation penalty. It seemed like a little harsh. I mean, basically the second time, you could be going to jail if I read it right. I don't know if you guys...
That's what all the municipal court.
Yeah. We kind of, reminds me of that Thanksgiving song, or and a little bit of trash, and you're off to the slammer. But we'll all discuss it, look at it, and the other thing is if there is a violation, I guess if they haven't sold their house, we could place a lien on their property because, they did cost the municipality a lot of expense to move all this stuff.
Sure.
And then I like your idea, when you do have a lot of stuff, it's your responsibility to get your own dumpster in there, or we could offer for a fee, to pick it up possibly. There's some things I thought, but we'll certainly discuss it and hear what the public has to say.
And on the subject of fines, like Craig said, that's typical of any fine in our municipal ordinance. It's obviously subject to the discretion of both the trash hauler. They could just leave at the curb, but they're not permitted to pick up, and at the discretion of our zoning officer, and then to the judge. So you have layers where, the aim is to not...
reasonable.
Yeah. Our aim is to not unduly burden any resident of the borough.
But it is an incentive to do it for sure, but...
We hope so, yeah.
Why don't you define the way that you did in your memo, what consists of CD and also...
Sure.
That's a good point, Paul,
Yeah, so when we consider bulk items, there's a lot that's taken out of bulk items. You can't put electronics out to the curb. Those are recycled separately at our DPW. White goods are picked up separately by our DPW. Obviously, recycle doesn't qualify. So what you're left with is household items, is how it's defined in the ordinance. Household items is if you pick up your house and you turn it upside down and shake it, anything that falls out is a household item. So that will not include your toilets, your vanities, your cabinets. It's not including shingling or...
Yeah, that's considered construction.
That's considered construction. It does include carpeting. We will allow you to bundle up carpeting and dispose of that, because carpeting lends itself more to be able to be packaged and hauled out. So as long as it fits within the pounds and gallons restrictions that we're put on it, but anything else that falls out of the house is household items. And will be picked up under the 4 items of bulk that you can put out per week.
Anyone else? Clerk, can I take the roll?
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Mrs. Delvecchio?
Yes.
Mrs. McNamara?
Yes.
Mr. Arvitz?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalera?
Yes.
And unfinished business, just a couple of things. Just remember September 7th, we're having the Centennial Waldwick Day in Borough Park. Kelly will talk a little bit more about that as the chair of the committee. She'll let you know about all that stuff when I finish. It'll be in our update, it's all over our website, it's all over the place. Also, October 4th is our gala dinner at the Tides, and that'll be the last event we have for our 100th anniversary. So anybody needs to ask any information about that, it's on our website, it'll be in the update, and they can always call Kelly, which she's receiving a lot of phone calls from people asking her what's taking place. Would you like to?
Sure. The September 7th event is at Borough Park. It's from 1 to 6. We'll have some food trucks there. There'll be games for children, families, and adults. We will also have booths, local merchant booths. The nonprofits and some of the other merchants from the town will be advertising what they do. And we will have music. I think that's it for that one. And then the Tides is October 4th. It's a black tie optional, and tickets are $100 for the 100th anniversary. It's a open bar. We'll have a sit-down dinner and cocktail hour, dessert, DJ, dancing, and it should be a good time.
And gifts.
And gifts. Sorry, yes, and gifts. So that's the Tides, and the Tides, that starts at 8 o'clock, and that's the Centennial Gala on October 4th.
Any other unfinished business?
Are we doing the recycling ordinance?
I'm sorry.
I didn't speak to that, and I apologize. The recycling ordinance is part of the solid waste ordinance. The recycling ordinance is codifying what we've already put into practice in that no residence or commercial business is allowed to put electronics out to the curb. That's the DPW first.
So we're doing those together, even though they have different numbers. Got it.
I don't know if it's unfinished business or new business. I read one of the things, which I don't recall us doing before, is one of the pavilion uses resulted in us retaining their deposit because they didn't clean that up. Is that the first time we've kept one of those, as far as I remember? And was there any pushback from them?
It was the first time we kept something, but it's not the first time we should.
Okay. And was there any pushback from that organization? They kind of agreed that, hey, we left it a mess and it wasn't a big deal?
We didn't receive any communications from them.
Okay.
They did give the check.
Yeah. Seems like a great policy we have in place.
And then we'll keep in mind when they come back again next year.
Yeah.
Any other unfinished business? New business, anyone have new business on council? No one? Okay, public's comments, anyone from the public would like to comment? You can kindly come up to the podium. We'll have to give you a piece of paper if you don't want to have your name.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There's a sheet, but I don't think I need
This is just for people.
Well, I was just thinking
Ted Santo, 9 Kennedy, in reference to the garbage and people moving out and whatnot. If I'm not mistaken, we do not have a moving out ordinance of any type.
Well, the only thing we do is we have the building inspector.
Excuse me?
The only thing that I'm aware of that we do is, before the new people can move in and the old people move out, you have to get a C of O. So the building inspector comes by, make sure you have hand railings or some pumps not legally hooked up. But as far as to your question about, what else would you be concerned about when somebody moves out?
Well, concerning the garbage being out on the curb line for a long period of time, is it possible to require a deposit of some type when somebody's notifying us that they're moving out? You have a similar situation where they're using a pavilion. Somebody leaves a deposit, so this way if there's any damage that has to be repaired or whatever. Maybe in the person moving out, we request a deposit if there's an extraordinary amount, a rather large amount of garbage. However you choose to word that carefully. I realize you all may have the words to say it properly, but it's an idea, maybe in order to help cover the cost, if necessary. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Excuse me, Eric LaPorta, 3 Van Dam Place. I've been here in a while, but over the past 2 months, 15 notices that I know have gone through for the smell at the sewer authority. I'd like to know, every time if I call the police, they say you have to call the plant. If I call the plant, they say call the hazmat. If I call hazmat, they call DEP. Call the DEP, they say you gotta call the police. Is there a procedure that is in stone for our neighbors to follow? That's number one. Number two, the trucks are, this morning, 6:30. Supposed to be 7 o'clock. Sunday, 6:30, supposed to be 8 o'clock, all these trucks coming through. I know last year, Mayor, you said you were going to speak to Corrado. I don't know if you were ever able to have that correspondence with her or him regarding the sewer authority.
I usually, when there's a police report filed with complaints, they will forward me.
There's been 15 in the last 6 weeks.
Okay, then I will follow up with them because I haven't heard. I'll call the commissioner tomorrow.
We did, so you know, we did meet with the commissioner, and she's a very nice woman, she's new. She was a little bit, she wasn't ready to talk with us because she just had a baby. Now that she has everything set with the child, she came and talked with McCall and myself. And we sat down and talked to her, gave her some ideas of what's going on with the town and all the problems that we are having. Your name did come up, she knows about you, on a good point.
Okay.
And there was another issue about something to do with a tree that was removed from a residence area, which nobody knows what the story is. I did reach out to her 2 weeks ago to ask her what's going on with the tree, and she still doesn't understand what happened with the tree. On, I guess, South Dow, supposedly one of the residents noticed that the gates opened up, the big truck came, scooped up the tree, went back into the property and shut the gate. They say they don't know nothing about it. DPW didn't do it. And she called me back and said that they don't have no idea what happened. So the resident that did see this, unfortunately, one of the residents doesn't want to come forward and make any issue. So we have to just leave it at that this tree was taken away for some reason. But this young woman, she's very, very good. Nicole, I think you know, she's very good. We could maybe arrange that you and her meet. And she could hear directly from you.
The lady from the sewer authority?
She's a representative from
She's
Waldwick.
a Waldwick resident and she's a commissioner there
Right.
as well.
Marianne?
Yes.
The Ortega?
Yes.
Right. What is the procedure though? Who should
If you call the police, the dispatcher
The
is not...
dispatcher has no-
I know, just to say, we've been through this a couple times, and what was supposed to happen, if you call the police, the dispatcher is not supposed to tell you to call the plant. You're supposed to log it in and send it down to the DEP. And then there'll be a case number, and when that case number is issued, they call you
Correct.
and say, hey, we got a call from the police, case number blah, 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 can you tell me what took place? So if the dispatchers aren't getting the word, we'll handle that up here and pass that along, because we've done that a couple times, right?
We'll have Patrick speak to the police chief and make sure that he realizes how the procedure should be.
The little disadvantage though is they come in, they call from, Morristown. Sometimes by the time I get here, or they'll call me 9 o'clock the next morning, because it's...
Yeah, it's not a contemporaneous thing. I mean, I've done it, like when I'm coming home from hockey, sometimes it seems like late at night, 1 o'clock, 12:30 at night, I'll make a call once in a while, it smells, and then I get a call like within 24 hours.
Well, I talked to the Little Ferry, the plant there, okay? And they said all these haulers that go in here, each truck has to be treated with potassium permanganate. It has to be treated. Now, I as a person have no authority to ask to see that these trucks are loaded. The only one that can is a town or a county. Now, if they're not, and they talking to these guys down there, that's what makes the aroma. Now, is there a way to find that out, going through maybe Marianne and yourself?
Do you have any suggestions?
I took your call the other night when you called. I'm an operator there, I've been there for 17 years.
Yeah, I know.
Eric, I don't know what to tell you. They have a meeting, they meet once a month, the authority. It's an open meeting, it's an open public meeting. They have to allow you in, they have to allow you 3 minutes to comment. Nobody goes to their meetings.
I have. I mean, not.
I would like to know when you're going to be at one of those meetings, because I would like to be there and hear what they have to say to you when you address them. Because the 9 commissioners that make all the decisions down there, it's a 9-commission panel.
Correct, I agree.
Okay, and they need to hear from, if people from Waldwick are dissatisfied with the way they're running that authority, those people are appointed.
Yeah.
They're not elected like us folks.
No, I know.
They're appointees. They're appointed by Tedesco, the county executive. But they have a responsibility to run the authority the way that it should be run. And if people that live around that authority are dissatisfied with the way they're running it, people need to go and voice their opinion. They need to go in there and tell them. And this young lady that the mayor spoke to, what's her name? Marianne Ortega. She will, hopefully she'll be present that night. And let's see what she has to say when you get up and say, you know, I spoke to Miss Ortega, and see where it goes from there.
No, I haven't been there.
I'm in a very difficult situation. It's my employer.
No, I
would like to, you know, I'd like to be, like, you know, we recuse ourselves from different things that we find a conflict. Right now, I would like to get involved with this wholeheartedly. But as long as I'm an employee there.
See, even when I called Little.
I don't mean to cop out.
No, we
try not to cop out.
We talked.
This close to retirement.
No, we talked about this before. That's respectful. I mean, like I talked to Wilson Environmental, talked to the Little Ferry now, and I was talking to the attorney one time about closing this place. And he was 100% right. You cannot close it. You can close it from trucks going in, but you can't close it from the 12 Bergen County towns. Now, that's, you know, it's ridiculous what they're doing with these trucks. I mean, this morning there was a new company, DAR, coming up Prospect Street, a tanker. I mean, there's 10,000 pounds limit there. And this, you know, just looking at it, I mean, I'm not a professional, but it looks a lot more than 10,000 pounds coming up Prospect Street. And, you know, and again, and these trucks just sit there, just sit there.
What I'm going to do is...
6 o'clock, 5:30.
I'm going to send an email.
Mr. He even took a, he sees that.
I'll send an email to Mariana tomorrow and tell her that I need to have a schedule of all the trucks coming in and out, what time they came in. They have to have a lot.
And you know, in that potassium, whatever.
Permanganate.
Yeah, thanks. You know, they said in Little Ferry they had a strict log of every truck.
Yeah, it's, permanganate is a real strong oxidizer. You know, they used it in the past for odor control.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't tell you if they're pre-treating the trucks before they come in. I don't know. You know, I receive them, they got paperwork, they dump their stuff and they're gone, you know.
You have the times on which the 2 trucks came in this week, you said?
There was one this morning at 6:30.
Today?
Yes.
6:30?
The only reason I know that is because I left at 7. If I got to 7, he was just coming out.
You know what the name, you didn't see the truck?
Was that big Earth Care, is it?
Earth Care.
The big blue?
I was there at 7 a.m. this morning, you're absolutely correct.
Now what about...
When I reported for work, he was already there.
You said something on Sunday?
Sunday morning, they were there, like, same thing, 20 to 7, quarter to 7.
They'll be there at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
You don't name the truck, same truck?
No.
Just a truck?
They're all tankers.
All right, I'll just ask them to give us the lot. They have to give us the lot.
All right.
And then what I'll do is I'll just tell Mary, because as I said, she knows that you're very concerned about it.
I mean, I
She lives right there.
If people are there working at a time when they're arriving that early, does anybody tell them to shut the car off or call the cops themselves so they can come down and find these guys that are idling?
They're allowed to come on the road.
But they can't idle outside the gate, right? The fence is still closed. But if you know they're there, can you just call the PD and tell them to come ticket them if they know they're not supposed to be idling? That seems like the obvious.
We're going to send an email to Marianne Sullivan, and then we're going to make sure that the administrator lets the police department know exactly what the policy is.
Okay.
They went through this years
Couple
ago,
times.
and they keep on giving you the run. They have to take the report, and then they have to let us know about it.
Then hazmat calls me, "Keith, why are you calling the police?" They say,
Right.
"Why are you, you know?"
Right. No, we'll have Patrick speak to them.
All right.
You know what the problem too, I'm not trying to stick up for anybody, but sometimes you're getting people working there.
Correct.
They don't educate them and train them on what they have to do. Like we have.
Then there should be a sign in the dispatch room saying, if anybody calls with a complaint with the utility authority, send somebody down there to ticket them immediately.
I drive around every weekend, I drive around this town, and there's signs on poles, there's signs on lawns, and we have an ordinance that residents wanted, no signs nowhere. And I do call the police and I say to them, if I can see it, you gotta see it. So please take care of it. And some of them say, the younger guys say, well, we didn't know. So I think we have, to- it's our fault, we have to educate them. And we'll start that one.
Thank you.
Thank
Excuse
you.
me, can I add one quick thing? I'm not super involved in all of this, but I know we can't put, you know, a police officer down there all the time to do surveillance, but in this day and age, can't we have electronic surveillance of some sort? Cameras? I mean, how hard would that be? Pardon?
Yeah.
It would be cheaper to put a police officer?
It's more expensive than it should be, and then neat thing, yeah.
Oh, I'm just throwing it out, because I think it, you know,
Well, let's go with the police and see what they say.
all right, it just seems like it just never.
Can I just put in a request to be CC'd on these
Oh, absolutely.
emails this time?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, I CC'd you all the time.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a report recently.
Yeah, we have no report, we gave them to us. Anyone else? If there's no one else, I have a motion to go into close.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking about that issue, Mayor.
No.
Jeff Rogoff, 63 East Prospect Street. Sort of a question and a comment. With regard to the event that's going to be in Borough Park on September 7th, I imagine it's probably going to be on the webpage. I imagine it's going to be probably an electronic sign in front of Town Hall. Will it actually also be on a sign sort of by the fence by the highway? Because it's such an effective place to get advertising out. And I was driving through Lodi, and they had 100 centennial, or some kind of a centennial event going on there too. And they had all these signs that were posted throughout their town. And it was really, you know, it was nice to see that. And I was just wondering if there's any plans to advertise the September 7th event with a sign similar to the way the carnival was done down near the highway.
We didn't have any intention of doing it because of the fact that it's been posted all over the place.
Yeah, well, I guess if I can speak to that point, I do appreciate that it's, things get posted in lots of different places. Just personally, and I've talked to a lot of people, I think they really appreciate seeing the sign there. It's a very visible, frequent reminder as people are getting on and off the highway. I think it's actually kind of good for morale. Other people in other towns kind of see it. And I think it's a really effective place to do it. So I would encourage that when we have town events, that we go a little old school on some event and we think about maybe just putting a sign in that very visible location.
On the fence.
Yeah, I would urge that. The second thing I just kind of wanted to ask is very anecdotal. I have been experiencing, I go to the train each day to work, I come back from Prospect, and I've noticed that in particular there seems to be a lot of speeding when trains come in the afternoon. I don't know if it's people from other towns looking to get home, but you know, I've had more than one occasion where cars have been very upset that I would not go above 25 and trying to make that point to me in an animated way. And so I was just wondering if, you know, I wanted to give you my observation of this. I don't know if there's some correlation between trains coming in or not. Certainly, I would welcome any efforts to, I know there have been some cars out on East Prospect Street, I thank you for that. Any additional steps you can do to increase the police presence occasionally for deterrence, I would appreciate it.
I know lately we've been having a lot of people complaining about car speeding for the town.
I've seen that as well on social media, and I've also experienced it.
Yeah, I just had a fight with a gentleman tonight. I'm going up Wyckoff Avenue, and a gentleman was coming down Wyckoff, near Walgreens, and he tried to cut through the barricade to get into the place, and he wouldn't stop. So I just parked my car in front of it, and I said, you've got to go around.
Good. Well, anything you can do on that further, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Please give you an escort.
He wears a lot of hats.
You guys coming from Wyckoff, I mean, not that goes to Wyckoff, but you know what, you got to follow the rules in the town. Anyone else?
Comments and questions?
First of all, I'd like to thank the Lions Club. I think the carnival was very successful this year. I had the pleasure of volunteering this year because my boyfriend Jeff is part of the Lions Club now, and it was very enlightening, and I really appreciate knowing somebody who has glaucoma, a child who has glaucoma and who is suffering from vision problems. I'm really very grateful for what the Lions Club does for the people who need it the most, to see the most. Second question that I have is, a couple months ago, we were talking about the communication system for the police department, and I was just wondering if there was an update as to where they are in the process for the new communication system.
This is for the radio system for all the public safety. And we received a report from VCOM, that was their phase 2 report, which evaluated the current state of communications in town. That's been distributed to the police department, the fire department, EMS, and the public works and the council here. We're in the process of reviewing now, and we'll all meet up to discuss how we want to move forward with their findings. So
That
the next,
was pretty much what you told me 6 months ago.
well, we only received it 3 weeks ago, so it's certainly a different, the phase 2 analysis. The 6 months ago, we could have received the phase 1 analysis, which was a different report. This was a more in-depth report, and so, yeah, like I said, we just received that report, and it's currently being moved.
How many phases are there before this is implemented?
The council awarded a contract to VCOM for 3 phases. The first 2 phases, they were given go-ahead to proceed with at the start of the contract, and the 3rd phase would be if the borough decides to act on that phase. We can engage them for that phase, and that phase would be the actual procurement and installation of any of the products.
Okay, and can anyone advise us as to the update on the tort claims?
There's no update.
Is there any litigation, or is it just still in tort claim status?
I'm not going to address that. It's an attorney-client privilege, and I'll advise my clients.
Okay, thank you.
Laura, just a quick clarification on the communications thing. So just to kind of reiterate what Patrick was saying, then I think the next step is once we kind of wrap our mind around what they're suggesting, we'll try to put together an entire bid package, which is non-proprietary, so that, meaning a lot of different people can look at it and price it. And the company that we hired doesn't do the installation, so it's not, like they're specking all things that they can do. So I was appreciative of Gary Kratz starting that thing before Patrick got here, and I'm hopeful that we're going to have a whole decent bid package that we can go out and get competitive bids from many different qualified firms. But it's complicated.
It seems like it's taking a long time.
It's a couple-night read. It's pretty significant.
Yeah, it takes a long time, and a lot of this is that the phase 2 report required VCOM to do a lot of communication between them and the FCC, federal partners, state partners. There were some delays that they received in getting information back, which isn't all that surprising. But this is going to be, this is a big project. I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and not something you want to rush into, because whatever we decide we're going to have for 15, 20, 30 years. So while, I appreciate that 6 months is a long time, when you look at the life of the project this is and the complexities we have in the system we're replacing it, I think it makes sense to proceed slowly and make sure we get out of this what we want.
Personally, I think if it's that big of a project, there should be more attention brought to it at a council meeting. Because the last 2 times I heard about it were the last 2 times I first approached the bench and asked about it. So if it's that big and it's really going to impact in a beneficial way and financially, if it's going to increase taxes or what have you, I think that really it should be publicized a little bit more. Just my take. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Ray Cruz, 15 Cypress. Just following up on the VCOM, I know this came up, I think, sometime in the fall of last year. VCOM is doing an analysis this year. They were budgeted in the budget with that scope of work only? Or was it expected they'd be finished before the fiscal year ended?
I'm not sure what your question is.
So they're going through 3 phases of analysis to
Yep.
figure out
Yep.
that they're going to be compliant with, say, redundancy requirements, FCC, radio, frequency, leases, things, whatever that needs to be done to ensure that we're all 100% compliant, secure, and that the police departments and the fire departments can do what they need to do when it comes to communications, right?
Yeah.
When we budgeted their work, was it budgeted so that it would end this year, this fiscal year?
I don't know if these were funds from bond money or funds from a current fund, but regardless, they were appropriated and encumbered in 2018.
Right.
So the contract that we have is from 2018. There's not because this is project work, there's not a timeline on how long it can be.
Right.
So the money we're still spending is still either from the 2018 budget year or from the bond ordinance.
Right, and that's a fixed amount that you guys budget for?
We gave them a fixed amount. They are, the 3 phases are 3 discrete projects.
Right.
And attached to those 3 discrete projects is a very specific dollar amount.
Okay. Irrespective of their delays or their government delays, induced delays, they have to stick to that budget.
They do, yeah.
So that we as a borough are not incurring extra charges with the state.
No, they promise us that these are the goods that they'll deliver for that set amount, and the borough will hold them to that. And they have so far, so there's no reason for us to think that they would.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? We're going to be going into close, so at this time, we have a motion to go into close. Okay, second by Paul. All those in favor?
No action.
There'll be no action on what we discussed, but there'll be about a half an hour.